This is episode 289 of the Super League Pod, and we know what you want, so we deliver niche musical references and slippers recommendations. Around all that, we discuss Fred Dunn's Room of Miscellany, whether Carney's Wall is legit, and the Super League Awards, of course. Loads of news too, with player movement, politics and punch-ups on the agenda. Not forgetting 2 Super League semis and 1 genuine Origin match. Slip on something comfortable. It's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome to episode 289 of the Super League Pod. This week you have me, Mark, and I'm joined by Tim. Hello Tim.
Hello.
Hello, we have got loads to go through this week, Tim. We've got the awards, we'll start with that, then we'll move on to a shed load of news. And the not so small matter of the semi-finals and an Origin decider as well to get to, with plenty of fan reviews on those matches.
I'd actually genuinely forgotten that Origin was this week. It feels like so long ago.
Well, luckily for me, I watched it on Saturday, so it's fresher in the mind, which is a step up from last week when I didn't get around to it till the Sunday. So that suggests I've been slightly less busy this week than I was the week before. But yeah, lots for us to get to. Do you want to tell everyone about our sponsor before we get into some more stuff?
Yes, or at least I would if the screen was working and hadn't cut me off halfway through.
We're not editing this out because, we're running a smooth operation as all of Brian Carney correcting his own mistakes from his living room.
It's alright, at least I've got a backdrop. This episode is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop. Find a wide range of toys, gifts, rugby league, birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5 you can earn 5% cash back. And also 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers just by putting SLP discount, that's SLP discount, at the checkout.
Good stuff. Thanks for Rob's Toy Shop. We're going to start, before we get to the awards, we're going to start with a literary shout-out. So we've been asked to give a shout-out for, and stick with this, Tom Andrews' best friend's fiance's dad, Chris Berry, who is due to release he's due to release his second book in a Rugby League themed crime series later this month. The book's called Tough Season in the Sun. So if you're listening to this, you're already into Rugby League, so we've got half of this book covered. And if you're also into crime novels, then go and check out Chris's writings, because it's a marrying of two loves in your life there. So
it's a good Christmas present for those in your life who might appreciate such things.
There you go.
Christmas is just around the corner.
It is. Use bookshop.org to buy your books, and money will go to independent bookshops around the country. That wasn't part of the shout out, but I thought I'd throw it in. Okay, so check out Chris's book, and thanks to our sponsor. And now we're going to move into the Super League Awards, first of all. Right, so we're recording around about an hour and a half after we found out the winner of this year's Man of Steel at the Super League Awards, which were a much different occasion to last year's brilliant event at the Lowry Theatre in Salford. This year, there was a mix of professional-looking settings that people like Jamie Jones Buchanan were in, and absolutely insane wall art that Fred Dunn had.
What? For the benefit of those who've not yet seen it, why don't you describe what was on Fred's wall?
A yellow poster with a woman with a face that looked like it wasn't belonging to her body, and a body that wasn't belonging to the era of anything else in the painting, and bright sunshine. Yes. So it clearly wasn't live, which I think is fair enough. It wasn't the easiest thing to pull together necessarily, I'm sure, this year. But you would have thought they could have put something that had Betfred on it behind Fred, and something that had Super League on it behind Brian Carney.
I mean, Fred did look like, bless him, he did look like he'd just got in from walking the dog. But also, yeah, Brian Carney's. Now, was that a fake stone effect or was it real? That's the big question. I think it was there for effect.
I think what it is it's like it's been slips of stone to make it look like big stones been put on the wall there. So it was stone, but it was like a cladding of stone rather than stone walls all the way through.
There we go. Yeah.
That would be my assessment. But similarly, my assessment is, why wasn't he in a TV studio or didn't have a room where he had a background behind him? I mean, Jamie Jones Buchanan was the most professional thing about the show. That's not the norm.
In visuals,
yeah.
Yes. In audio, as incomprehensible as always.
But there was lots to enjoy. To be, we joke a bit there, but there was lots to enjoy in the hour or so of the show, including a very emotional winner of the Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award, and that title this year went to Castleford Tigers' Paul McShane, who was named the 2020 winner of the Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award. The 31-year-old. It says here, was in inspired form this season despite his side finishing 8th in Super League, appearing in every game. He is the 5th Castleford player to receive the prestigious award. The award deservedly goes to Paul McShane because he performs in every game he plays in, the Man of Steel chairman Ellery Hanley said. He is Mr. Dependable and everyone holds him in the highest regard. As a player, he consistently displays bravery, skill and athleticism. This is a man who wears his badge of honour in every action he delivers on a rugby league field. The phrase actions speak louder than words fits Paul McShane perfectly. You only have to be in his company for 3 minutes to discover what a gentleman and first-class human being he is. We're so lucky to have him in our game. So that's what Ellery Hanley had to say about the Man of Steel winner Paul McShane. Congratulations to him. The other awards given out on the night were Coach of the Year, which went to Wigan Warriors' Adrian Lamb, whose speech seemed like a goodbye, which was a bit concerning.
It did have that air of looking back at my time here and this is my last action. Yeah.
Young Player of the Year went to Leeds' Harry Newman, a really positive end to the year for the kid after he had that horrific double leg break that took him out just before the Challenge Cup semi-finals. I
did find it a bit weird that Kevin Sinfield was calling somebody grumpy and moody. It was like, well, hang on.
I don't think if we can tell if Kevin Sinfield's grumpy or not, but but certainly when he was describing Harry Newman as having ups and downs, we know that Kevin Sinfield emotionally doesn't have any ups or downs. Top tackler award went to Huddersfield backward forward Michael Lawrence, the Machine, indeed. The top try scorer was
700 tackles. That is ridiculous.
In such an abbreviated season, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
totally justified his place on our shortlist for loose forward of the year with performances and efforts that he's put in this year. Top try scorer Leeds winger Ash Handley, and then the other award that was given out on the night was the Spirit of Super League award. It's the second year that this award has been given, and this year it was very poignantly jointly awarded to Rob Burrow and Mossy Massoy, which I don't think needs much more explanation, or no one could disagree that those two have embodied the spirit of Super League this year in their battles.
Yeah, I thought that was a really fantastic gesture and heartfelt thing behind it for everybody, and very poignant seeing both of them, and it's interesting how because of this year they've become so linked, but also it's really nice at the same time.
Yeah, I think this was the best and most appropriate way to honour them in this ceremony by giving them this award. Obviously, what the inspiration they're giving this year and the things that they're involved in this year go beyond our sport. Watching Rob Burrows put his battle with MND very publicly, so that it increases awareness and helps raise funds working towards a cure and to support people with that awful disease. And then we've also seen the journey of Mosi Masoi this year, and very strangely, both of them played their last games on the same day earlier this year. And to imagine, what's happened this year since then, it's such a powerful story that they both can put forward. So it's been fantastic, and I think honouring them this way was totally appropriate. We'll work back up the list. So we don't, obviously, Ash Hanley's had a fantastic record this year, and Michael Lawrence we've talked about week in, week out for his machine-like performances.
The one thing I did notice with Ash Handley is the shape of his head. It is looking weirder and weirder every time I see him. It just sort of balloons out, but in sort of 3 dimensions.
It's very cartoon baddie shaped, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But it's straight for ages, and then suddenly there's this sort of like bulbous rim.
The alien in Mars Attacks springs to mind.
Yeah, it could well be.
But if it's what gives him his power and his direction and his skill to score all those tries, then fair play to him. Young Player of the Year. So we know from the awards tonight that there was a 3-player shortlist that was being considered. So it was Harry Smith of the Wigan Warriors. It was, I can't even remember who the third one was now.
Jack Welsby.
No, Jack Welsby of St Helens and Harry Newman of Leeds. And I think Harry Newman definitely deserves recognition for his performances. Of those 3, I might have gone with Jack Welsby. When I look at how he stepped in at the start of the season to fill the boots of arguably the best player in Super League right now, Lachlan Coote, with his performances at fullback at the start of the season, which weren't entirely consistent, but they weren't terrible. He then became the very able replacement for one of the best wingers in Super League, taking Tommy Makinson's place for the penis grab punishment period. And then after that, he filled the place of one of the best centres in Super League in Mark Percival. So and all fairly seamlessly and contributing from 3 positions. I think I would have gone Jack Welsby out of those 3, but I absolutely love the way Harry Newman plays rugby league.
Yeah, it's a really hard one to choose, and it is hopefully very good long term for the game that if we've got both of those two staying fit and staying in the competition, we've got to hope so, because I mean that could be the makings of an England backline in 3 or 4 years' time, couldn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose we're almost duty bound to include those 3 in our Young Player of the Year shortlist for the Sloppies, but I'd be tempted to swap out Harry Smith for another Wigan player, Ethan Havard, who I think was unlucky not to be in that 3 this year. But well done to Harry Newman, definitely deserved, and came across really well.
Yes, yeah, it did. It came across, speaking very well. Yeah, and clearly he was very much of the mindset, which is going to make him a top player, that the injury had happened to him, but it was up to him to how he came back from it.
Exactly.
So that tells me that he's going to do well.
And Coach of the Year was Wigan's Adrian Lamb. His team finished top of the table, so that's often an indicator of someone getting the Coach of the Year award. I was trying to think of who the leading candidates even were, and I think it'd probably have been between him, Richard Agar, and maybe Christian Wolff.
Yeah, I think so. I think because you'd say certainly in Super League terms, because I think Ian Watson would be on that list overall, but including the Challenge Cup, and I think Agar again more weighted towards the Challenge Cup. So I think that probably is right. Obviously, some people would still say Darryl Powell for doing NAFL, but
I think if you look at the season for Adrian Lamb, he had to integrate some new important parts into his Wigan side. He made a very very bold decision of moving Zach Hardacre into the centres and putting Bevan French at fullback, sort of ahead of the season. And boy, has that worked out.
It's not worked badly for them, has it?
Exactly. I